This is the first of 3 videos where we're going to be looking at how to be successful in the AQA English GCSE examinations. We're going to look in this first video at the first 2 questions, and as in all of the videos, we're going to be focused particularly on how to gain the top grade, the A star. Now let's take some of the basics first. Let's remember that the examination is worth 60% of your overall English language GCSE, along of course with your control assessments. And in the examination you're assessed both for your reading and your writing ability, and you must bear that in mind when you're answering each question. There are 2 sections. Section A is the reading section and B is the writing section, and you should spend an hour on each section and 15 minutes reading the 3 extracts. And I will talk a little about time management later on, which is really vital in this examination. And to achieve an A star, you need to be hitting band 4 for every answer. This means you can afford to lose only 1 or 2 marks per question. So for each of the questions, we're going to look at what a band 4 answer looks like. So let's go straight on into question 1. Question 1 is always the same. It might be worded slightly differently each year, but it's essentially the same question. And it will ask you to retrieve information and to make inferences about it from source 1. This question is always worth 8 marks. So what does it mean? Well, you need to read the text thoroughly and then answer the question using your inference skills. And how do I get full marks? Well, you need to pick a variety of different points. You need to write using point, evidence, explain, and don't waffle, get straight to the point. So read the question carefully, read the text carefully in order to select the appropriate quotations. Now, thinking about this question, band 4, the examiner is looking for, and the quote from the marking criteria is perceptive in order to get 7 or 8 marks. Perceptive is easier to say than it is to do, but essentially the examiner is looking for candidates who can encapsulate the entire article. What is the main thrust of the article? And to put that in 3 short paragraphs, each paragraph containing a quotation. So you're going to have to choose the quotations carefully, the quotations that most say what the article is about. So the examiner is looking for someone who offers evidence that the article is fully understood, and note that is fully understood. In other words, makes small inferences about what the quotation says. Shows a detailed engagement with the text. So we're suggesting that you mention 3 points. Makes perceptive connections and comments about people, places and events. Again, that will be in your quotations using straightforward point, evidence, explain. And of course, appropriate quotations to support your ideas. Picking out the things which are most relevant and avoiding the less relevant details. Question 2 is much tougher, and all of the subsequent questions in the examination are harder than question 1. Question 2 will always be looking at source 2 and requires you to understand headline, subheading, caption and picture and how they relate to the text. In other words, it's almost certainly going to be some sort of newspaper text. So what does this mean? Well, think about the connotations of pictures and headlines. How are they effective? How do they relate to the content of the text? And for A star candidates, this is about going well beyond the obvious comments. Start with the obvious, start with the straightforward comments, but the C grade candidates will be doing that. You need to be able to think of associated ideas, associations of words and pictures and so on that are going to be beyond the obvious ideas. So how do I get full marks? Well, by having that perception, by showing a perceptive and detailed understanding and analysis of the headline, caption, subheading and picture. That's easier to say than to do, and in the examination, don't allow yourself to be panicked. Do take the time when you're using point, evidence, explain, to think how in your explanation you can make it full, detailed, and that you can demonstrate to the examiner that you have that perception, that you can think of ideas that are beyond the obvious. So the band 4 mark scheme, in other words, to gain 7 or 8 marks in bullet points that we have here, so offers a detailed interpretation of the effect of the headline. So a detailed interpretation is, again, back to the ideas that are beyond just the straightforward, simple, obvious ideas. Presents a detailed explanation and interpretation of what the picture shows and its effect. Explain how and why that image is effective. That's something that you would want to practice between now and the examination. Links the picture and the headline to the text with perceptive comments. In other words, explains in great detail the connections between the headline, the picture, and explaining the similarities. And offers appropriate quotations or references to support comments. I would suggest that these quotations should be short, perhaps a series of one-word quotations.